A 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! He's going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the Hoops Postgame Show. Staying up late with you here on a Tuesday night that, man, got off to a frantic start. Senior night, everything was going right for the Huskers at halftime. Looked like one of the best halves we've seen from Nebraska basketball in quite some time. And then there was that second half. A lot of numbers to jump through. I'm Jake Bakoven in here with the longtime NBA vet, of course, former Husker Hall of Famer Eric Strickland. And we're breaking down this one. Nebraska ends up losing to Michigan State at home on senior night, 80-67. Outscored 54-29 after getting a 38 lead tonight by Keisei Tamanaga. Another 20-point game for him. 15 points from Jamarcus Lawrence, including a smooth little fake there at the end with not much defense being played to get two extra ones to get 15 points. 13 points for Derek Walker, 12 for Sam Griesel, 2 for CJ Wilter, the other starter there, and 5 off the bench altogether for Nebraska. All those coming from Sam Hoiberg tonight. Hauser, league score for the Spartans with 20 points. Walker had 19. Hogard had 10 and 14 assists. Akins had 17. So well-balanced shots or team effort from tonight. Let's go through this in Strict. It's hard to do this other than just splitting it down the middle and saying one half was great and the other half was awful.
Truly it was awful the second half. And some numbers that you can kind of look at for this game is 12 offensive rebounds on senior night. You got out scrapped, hustled. They got all the loose balls. And when you do a team like that, you can tell the difference between the defensive intensity of the first half and the second. And I can tell you exactly when I started seeing it diminish is when they gave up, like in one sequence, they gave up 3 or 4 offensive rebounds, and it looked like a balloon popped or it was deflating. And you didn't see the same intensity on defense the rest of the game. They were getting the open looks that they wanted. They were getting the shots. They were letting Hogard, who was wanting to pass, letting them find guys, and their rotations weren't as crisp in the second half and late in the first. So that's kind of where, kind of started me. They got off to a great start, great D, matched the intensity of Michigan State. They didn't settle early in the game as well. They attacked the rim, and they were getting anything they wanted, and it just seemed like it stopped.
Yeah, it's weird, and I ask you this because, I don't know how many games you've been in like this, but was it possible Nebraska went in at halftime and thought they had it won? It
is.
Yeah,
it's possible. That is something that can happen. The key to it is coming out in the first half. What are you gonna what tone are you gonna set coming out of the half? Right? Got a couple of good bucket to start it with Walker, a little bit of back and forth. But let's be real about it, Bach. When a team with 4 minutes in the first half is shooting 22%, but they end up shooting 28% for the half, you're shooting almost 60. You should been up at least 17 to 20 points minimum. So they take true advantage of the bad shooting that Michigan State had, and it came back to bite them. I will, with something in their memory, I probably coach after them a little bit and talk to them about that. And they turned up the intensity, and they came out and got it done. Big shots early on. Couldn't get Sam and Wilcher to hit open shots at some points, and that's kind of some of the difference in this game.
Yeah, and it was, again, let's go ahead and kind of just run through it because it did get off to a great start. Obviously, senior night, kind of setting the tone there. Obviously, Pinnacle Bank Arena was rocking. People were excited to see this team, see if they could win 5 in a row, and see if they could break a 10-game losing streak to Michigan State. Still now, 11-game losing streak. And the last time Nebraska State was January of 2016. So that's how far it goes back. But Nebraska has, as a program against, routinely is a tournament team. I think they're making 26, something like that, straight.
Yeah, only behind Kansas.
Yeah. So, that's incredible. Nebraska obviously has had their problems with, one, getting the NCAA tournament, but two, beating Michigan State. State started 4 of 24 from the floor and only had 10 points in the first 11. So to your point, was only up 19-11 there. Back-to-back threes from Griesel, and Tominaga extended it to 25-12. They were on a 17-2 run, actually, at one point to lead 27-12. The 15-point lead Nebraska had was their biggest lead of the game. And the ball movement was just beautiful. I mean, the cuts, the passes, it wasn't just random that Michigan State was not shooting well and Nebraska was in the first half. The quality of shot that Nebraska was making, forcing Michigan State to take contested shots, and they just couldn't get anything. And again, on the opposite side, Nebraska's ball movement, the cuts, it looked about as good as we've seen it certainly all year, but in years, the ball movement wise for Nebraska in that first half.
Yeah. But again, you're absolutely right. I just some of the intensity and here's where the intensity is right. That on the defensive side is unquestionable. That was happening in the first half. It was the attacking of the glass. Sam Griesel is, leading your team in this instance. And, the big guys for Michigan State were just attacking the glass. You got murdered on the offensive glass, and that's the difference in this game. Other than the fact they shot 55% from three, that's ludicrous after you started the way that you shot the ball earlier in the first half. But this is, hopefully it's a lesson. You got to execute. It was some bad turnovers. There were multiple situations where you didn't get a shot at the basket. That's how runs start. Runs start that way. If you're not taking advantage and getting possessions or getting and securing rebounds, there's a couple instances where you kind of just were jogging down court and they run right up your back, and you score a bucket and they score one right back. That's when you need to put the pressure to a team, and they didn't do that today.
Yeah, and Michigan State came out, by the way, in the second half, 4 of 4 on their threes to cut the lead to 7. You kind of got that feeling of, here we go. Okay, Nebraska is going to be in a battle. They're going to have to crawl back. They're going to have to fight back here. Nebraska had their own little run, including a transition Tominaga 3, where he didn't even have to look at the bucket to see what was going in. He knew it was in from when he let it go. Lawrence also had a quick transition points in there. They switched to that zone there for a second, which bothered Michigan State for a few possessions. Got a few fast break points out of it. But that was as good as things would get. Then they'd have their own scoring drought. 12-1 run for Michigan State. And Griesel took like 3 during that. That's not necessarily his game, so that was kind of interesting. Michigan State took the 57-56 lead. And again, from there, you're kind of thinking, okay, all of this, we knew this was going to be a good game. You're going to fight and scratch and crawl. And it just didn't turn out that way. Nebraska, from that 57-56 point, I was thinking, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And there was no here we go after that. It was sputtering, and Michigan State was hitting everything. And this isn't by happenstance. Again, so part of this is, I was looking it up. Joey Hauser, he's a 44% 3-point shooter.
And you're leaving him.
And he's getting a lot of shots.
There was times where you literally just left him. You know what that's called? You should have the scouting report. That's a stunt. What I mean by a stunt, Bach, is you fake like you're going to go to the guy, get him to hesitate for a second, allow your guy. You do not leave Hauser. You do not. And I saw it on multiple occasions. Full body run to Hauser. He's in the corner. Most of the defense is in rotation on the backside. There's no one can get there long enough. That's the stunt. I don't know if that was part of the game plan or not, but you do not in any form or fashion leave that guy. And it happened. I know I saw at least 3 that I saw. But another breakdown in the numbers, Bach, that's huge, right? Dominating in points in the paint, good. But the points off of turn, it's 14-10. You didn't do crazy in that margin, right? Not crazy, but out of the turnovers you gave up, you give up 20 points. But only get 12 yourself. So you lose that by 8. That's part of the turnaround there. Then where's the difference in this game? Second chance points. 16-3. That's killer. And that's how I don't know if we've talked about it before, but I know I've mentioned it. I don't know if you and I have talked about it, but I mentioned that when I play, there's nothing more deflating than you're giving hard defensive effort and you don't secure the rebound or the possession after they take a tough shot. There's nothing more deflating over the course of time, and that's what happened pretty much throughout the majority of this game.
Well, it's kind of frustrating there too for a few possessions. The ball just was, it's a 3-point shot, so you kind of have to expect it at times, but it was just carry them right to Michigan State. They'd get their extra shots in there. But again, Joey Hauser tonight, 11 3-point attempts. One, you can maybe say, okay, I guess it happens because Lawrence cramped up and fell on the court. And so he just like walked up and had a wide open 3.
Then you know what you do? If you know that's kind of, you need to communicate to a player, go foul.
Yeah.
Right? Before anybody, that's an automatic foul. You don't give up just
because they I saw not to point out anybody, but some Nebraska players looking at the ref like, help us.
No,
when it really somebody had to go do something.
Got to go do something.
Yeah, and so again with Hauser though, I just want to point out 11 3-point attempts. That's the most that he's had all year. Yeah. And he's a 44% 3-point shooter. So you got to get the scouting done there. You've got to limit what he's able to do there. And ultimately Nebraska was not able to. We welcome in your thoughts here on the Honda of Lincoln hotline. Starter Heyman text line might do better for us. 402-464-5685. We don't have a producer in studio. We'll still take calls. They'll be direct to air if you do want to call, but we'll get your thoughts here. Kevin in Southwest Lincoln says outscored by 25 at home in the second half. Horrendous. The bubble has burst on this team. No NIT. It is going to be difficult.
I don't know.
It's not
that.
burst.
Yeah,
but they do need to get a better than 500 record. Now they're sitting at 500. Really need to win that Iowa game.
They probably
or
do.
You're going to have to make a run in the tournament.
Yeah.
For what it is worth, I suppose, if you're looking forward, and we've been talking about all season long, and even these last couple of weeks about getting out of that Wednesday bracket. The benefit, I suppose, of playing in that Wednesday bracket, if you're on the line, is to get another victory. And then the next round, you're not playing the second seed. You're not playing the first seed, like the 8-9 matchup. If you or the 10 seed, you're going to play the second seed if you win your first game. So, at least there's that. So maybe Nebraska can still make a run. I don't want people to give up on the season. I know it was a frustrating half, and you really went from a high to a low there. This is still a really hot team. That again in this half, I mean, I think played the best half of basketball they did all year. So I mean, I think that they're still a very good team, one of the hottest teams in the country. Things just not
fell
in that
apart.
Second half. Yeah,
you know what it reminds me of. You know what it reminds me of, Bach? You ever seen the cartoons when the guy? Matter of fact, it might have been Flintstones. It might have been before your time, but all you Flintstone lovers out there. You're driving in a car, or you're watching a movie, the car's rolling, and then it just like all the tires fall off and all the parts just fall, and you just literally just fall kaput on the ground. That's what it seemed like. You got a nice looking car, and all of a sudden you're driving, and it's just like it just falls, and all the wheels fall off, and the axle drops out. Yeah, that's what it felt like tonight, man. That's the picture I got in my head.
That's pretty well describes what happened there. Let's go to the Honda of Lincoln hotline. You are live on air. Please keep it clean. I know you weren't to curse after that performance, but please keep it clean. Who's this?
This is Scott, downtown Scott.
Oh, nice to hear from you downtown. Scott, what are your thoughts tonight?
Well, the game was great until it wasn't, but I just wanted to point out one clutch player. The dude that shot the half-court shot over halftime, I don't know, Strick, he kind of he kind of made you look bad on that one.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes that good adrenaline and it happens. I mean, the guy almost made the putt too. It was just almost one of them type of nights. I wish it could have transferred to the Huskers in the second half. It would have been better.
Yeah. No, the team's been hot lately. The crowd was amazing. The game was great, like I said, until it wasn't. But anyways, I just wanted to give you some crap there. But
yeah, no problem, downtown Scott. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for the call. Yeah, I mean, with Red Panda in the halftime, I mean, at halftime, I had to imagine PBA was just
it was rocking.
Yeah, just
it was in
crazy.
Good. It was in good. It was in great form. Jessica on the Sauter Heyman Talks text line says, "Tell me how Izzo is able to be on the court the entire game, no pushback from refs." Absolutely. You need to address that. And you can't walk. You can give a little deference for a step or something, but he was way too far out on the court in certain instances, and you've got to address it at some point. Yeah, so that's absolutely true. I get that. So
yeah, and he kind of just is able to do that in general. I think it's just maybe it's grandfathered in, or he's just well respected as a coach to be able to do that. I thought it was interesting watching him too. They would pan to him in the first half, and you're kind of thinking for them. I mean, you got to think for him, that bench, the fans watching in East Lansing after that Iowa breakdown, and then watching this Nebraska first half. That's a program that expects to be hot at this time of the year.
Yeah.
And maybe we're starting to panic quite a bit, but it wasn't on the bench. You didn't see it on Tom Izzo's face, and whatever he said at halftime, whatever he did to get them going, the adjustments he made. Certainly commendable tonight, but yeah, there you could also say he might have overstepped his boundary there on the court there. I did think too it was cool. Obviously we know the tragedy that's kind of went on at Michigan State there on their campus. Nebraska coaching staff and stuff weren't Spartan strong and stuff, so I think it's good regardless of the competition. That Michigan State, I mean, they're going to be easy to cheer for as they get going here. Luffy off the text line says season over. I guess we should be happy it took this long to declare. He's not happy with CJ Welcher. I won't read that one. But says Nebraska will lose at Iowa, then lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. Get ready to only win 6 games next year.
Luffy's going really in. Yeah, you took this one tough. I'm not going to go that far, Luffy. I think there's some things that they can work with. You hate that on senior night, that it just, like I said, it was so deflating. I watched the change in just the flow of the defense when they just were multiple offensive rebounds, and what happens, that becomes collective. You need somebody that's going to turn that knob. That's the kind of guy I was. You need somebody on that team that can just turn that knob and rechange it and go out defensively, be able to get a charge, be able to get a steal, something that you can do to change it. And and here's how you know it's going on. There was a couple of rebounds that came off and guys were just standing there looking, right? That's a multiple, everybody swarm, go get, right? Don't wait for the next guy. And that's how it compounds, so it compounds from swing, 2 guys do it, 1 slower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how open shots happen, because that's multiple effort situations that you need to do in order to have the kind of defensive intensity that they had in the first half.
Yeah.
But it kind of slowly starts to trickle amongst the guy, and I'm not going to be that guy, or I'm not going to go get that one, or that's a little bit more energy than I need to expend right now. I'm trying to rest, but you can't have that.
And Michigan State's just hitting everything. And you kind of see it in the body language for Nebraska too. It's kind of like, it's just not going our way. Well, like you said, you need somebody to step up and try to make it your way. I thought Sam Hoiberg, a little late there, was the only one that was really attacking, trying to, drive. And, he just got the ball swatted quite a bit at the rim tonight, or a few times, I should say, not quite a bit. But, he's been that guy that's made that play the last couple of games. And just tonight, it was kind of difficult for him to get
some dumb
going.
fouls tonight, too. It was just, it wasn't Matador dumb. It was just not being in the right spot, little extra leans or hip. Just get there, put your body there, and do what you can. It was just, I don't know what to say. It was just little dumb stuff that ultimately cost them this game. I hate that for them because they were on the verge of possibly doing something special. When you got a game at home like that you can really make a turn, put something in the bag or in the box. You know what I mean? Like if what do they say? It's a bird in the
hand's worth two in the bush.
Come on,
something like that.
Something like that, right? I don't think
that's it, but it's something like that.
Right? You do that, then you don't have as much pressure going into Iowa, right? Now you're going into Iowa, you're going to have to try to get one if you want postseason play.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue to play or do you want to go home? You got to try to get that one, and you got to try to make a little run. You put this one in the bag, you can just go and play free in Iowa. Now you got to go play, possibly with some tightness.
Hands, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a difference.
Yeah, and Iowa, by the way, beating top 25 Indiana. So coming off that miraculous Michigan State comeback, they're now probably taking the crown as one of the hottest teams in the
Big
Big
Ten.
You. Yeah.
And they want revenge.
And you did them dirt. Back. Yeah. Let's head back to the Honda Lincoln hotline here. Yeah, the Iowa game is going to be certainly interesting. Let's see if you're still there. Remember, we don't have a producer. We're taking direct to air. Who's this? You still there? All right, we got another call in here. Try this here. All right, you are on the Who's Postgame show here on 93.7 The Ticket, direct to air.
Hi.
Who is this? Hello.
Hi, I'm Elena. Do you think Tominaga is going to come back next season?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Elena. We'll let you answer this. It's been a popular question here as of late. The chance tonight were one more season for Tominaga as he walked on senior night. He's, of course, a junior, going to have a lot of decisions to make here. I think he's walked. Hoiberg says, at this time he's undecided. I would take the man for his word. I think that at this point you're kind of focused on the season.
Yeah, and in the last couple, they had cramps and a lot of different things going on with him. It's something to think about. Do you want to come back and make a run at it? There's some more open door situations potentially for you. You need to play the point guard position. Like, even if you say he is the Japanese Steph Curry handles the ball
real well.
Right?
Yeah.
He runs pick and rolls. He handles the ball. He creates for people, but he can still shoot that ball. And they set screen. So so if you're saying you're that, you've got to show me that. It can't just be you coming off screens. You're not Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller was 6'8". Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You can't just come off screens, and you got to be able to show that your versatility. So if you have pro aspirations, you come back and make another run at it, right? Pro aspirations, I'm saying, as far as the United States version, the NBA or G League or whatever.
He's got a check in China or in Japan waiting for him.
So he's got money there. Now he can go there and do that all day long. Yeah. He can continue to just be who he is and then add some additions to that. But if he goes over there, you probably won't see him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's tough to jump from a Japanese league back into the NBA. You normally got to go to high-level European leagues. You got to go to Spain, or you got to go to Italy. You got to go to maybe Germany. You got to go to some of the Greece, some of the bigger leagues in order to make your way back.
Would you see that, progress for him too, or is it the same type of thing he'd have to?
He would still have to do the same things. He would still have to work on the same things. He's just not big enough.
Yeah.
At 6'3", the difference between me, I'm not that much taller than him, but the difference between me is I can guard 6'8". I can guard 6'9". You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I was physical enough to be able to do that. That's the difference. He shoots the ball well enough, but you got to understand the openness of the NBA now. You can't put hands on people. You guys will work you over who you're going to guard type of thing. Now, he would be a specialty player. He could be that, but I just don't know. We've got a lot of stuff on the text line, but we're going to get to it because I know we do have to take a break and we do got calls coming, but we, just know that we're going to get to you guys.
Yeah, we'll get to you guys here in a second. I think the Tominaga questions for his kind of pro outlook is interesting. We'll jump back into that a little bit later. We will get to your text, but we're going to take this final call if somebody's still on the air. Again, we're direct to air, no producer in the studio, so please keep it clean. You're on the Who's Postgame show. Who's this?
Oh, my name's Isaac. We went down to the game. I just wanted to know if you guys felt that down the stretch, I know Michigan State really heated up, but how much of an effect did Tom Izzo, maybe his Hall of Fame accreditations, have upon the games? I felt like he was much more involved with the refs and down the stretch than Fred Hoiberg. Well, I think we played a great game. I was into the game. I just wanted to know your guys' thoughts on the calls down the stretch. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thank you.
Your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's hard. I don't want to.
I can't say that all had to do with it, Bob.
Yeah,
but
it's hard because often when I drive, so I usually watch the first half from home, and then about the 12-minute mark, I'll make way here because my house is pretty close to the studio. And when I just like the network call because every time it just sounds like Nebraska's getting absolutely hosed left and right. Those guys do not like to give the refs breaks. They know them by name. They're calling them out and, telling Tom Izzo to sit down today. So, I think that Tom Izzo is going to get, he's a good coach for a reason, and he deserves to kind of have that respect. I'll kind of look at the total.
I don't think the fouls were there. I was looking at it.
Noticeable.
It wasn't a crazy discrepancy on the fouls.
Yeah.
There was a lot of pick fouls. The thing about them is they weren't setting a lot of picks other than screen rolls, and they solid on their screen. They just shoot it a little bit off. Guys were just down shots, and so I can't say that I can look at different screen calls compared to ours and theirs that were a minute. And being a for that, I was watching for that. I see that for the most part. So there wasn't a crazy discrepancy, like there wasn't a 9-3, foul count or nothing like that. So I can't say that was ultimately the case.
Yeah, installed on Michigan State, 14 on Nebraska. Yeah. So 4 on Michigan, or more on Michigan State. Nebraska was the home team, so maybe you expect a few more calls. But either way, I do want to ask you this because people might wonder this throughout. With your reffing experience and with your just basketball experience, different coaches you worked with. We rarely see Fred Hoiberg blow a gasket, and it's kind of a difference in approach, obviously, between him and Tom Izzo, who's kind of always yelling and writing the officials. Do you think it's more effective? Do you think that Nebraska maybe could use Fred Hoiberg to get a little bit more aggressive on the sidelines, or is that just something that fans might notice, but as far as refereeing a game, isn't going to change too much?
It's one way or another. I think it's timely. It's situationally. You got to pick your poison as to when you do something like that. Sometimes it's needed to go out and get one. Like I probably would have said, after they were making a run, I might have went off, in a situation like that. Okay, I'll take that one. But I need my team to feel my energy, so there's times, because when, Coach Hoiberg, sometimes, I'm not saying he's passive. I'm just saying he has a very stoic kind of demeanor about himself. So sometimes that can trickle in that it looks like everything. No, I don't know what he's saying in the huddle. I don't know, but sometimes that might be one where you don't feel like you're getting a good look out there on the court. You might want to jump in somebody's face. You might want to jump in somebody's ear. You might want to run up and down the line for a couple times, then get back to you. But you just want to let them know you in the game.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Well, and I know, and Tom Stevens might be asleep by now, but if he is listening, I know he was calling for a timeout. He's got infamous among his friends for calling timeouts throughout the game or telling the coaches to call timeouts. I don't think there's enough timeouts to call in that second half.
Yeah.
Maybe there would have been some times where it would have been beneficial, but ultimately, I mean, I don't know what you do in that second half to make that any better than it was. Just really ugly. All right,
they didn't make. It didn't. Well, I can't say for sure. I just didn't see any adjustments.
Yeah.
I saw
they switched the zone real quick for that second, but then
I saw them getting the same shot.
Yeah.
At some point, then you've got to say they figured you out. They went in there and made adjustments, because whatever they did with their spacing, whatever Hogarth did at that point, a switch up would be let Hogarth shoot. Like, okay, you come off, you're going to have to shoot this. I'm going to stunt you. I'm going to back off, but I need to get back to this body And I don't think I think there were times that I saw D walk too. This is no blame to him, but this is just they're dribbling in. You're not blocking shots. Challenge, but go find your guy. And that's where some offensive rebounds were coming because I saw him jump a couple of times. That's not a jump for you. You know, you know, that's probably not one you're going to get to. More so you want to get to that body, you know, just if they make it, they make it, but don't give up the second one.
Well, I think in the first half too, we saw a lot of like running them off the three at least, which we've seen throughout the year. I mean, that's kind of Nebraska's defensive thing. If they're in the corner or whatever, make sure they don't get the three, make them step in. And they weren't hitting those twos. In the second half, it was, I don't know if that was a Michigan State adjustment or if it was Nebraska not getting there in time, but they were just launching threes. They weren't stepping in at all.
Yeah.
We do have a call. We'll take that on the other side. We've got plenty of text to run through, but we do have some bills to pay. So we're going to take a quick break here on the Hoops Post Game Show. We'll be back with more reaction to tonight's loss, unfortunately, on senior night for Nebraska, 80-67 to the visiting Spartans. We'll be back with more here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirit, cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. Top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer. Wall-to-wall wine spirit beverage for every taste and plus. Join our loyalty program to earn rewards. All wine. 50 North 2040.
It's long. Didn't know where to start.
I was afraid of what people would think, but then I found the right support to start my recovery journey. 1 in 14 Americans reports experiencing a substance use disorder, a treatable medical condition. Treatment can take many forms, so there are a variety of options to explore and find the one that works best for you. Recovery from drug addiction is possible.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcast Association and the station.
Megan Whitaker from the Nebraska. If you've put your clubs away for the winter, it's time to get them back out. There's no need to stop thanks to Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle is Home's indoor golf simulators. It's perfect for every level of golfer, with everything from casual games for the kids to hyper-realistic simulations of some of the best courses in the world. And the best part, no matter what the weather, it's always golf weather inside. See for yourself. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make when I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, all getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Who's Post Game Show. Nebraska falling tonight after a great first half, but just an awful second half. Nebraska with the lead at halftime, 38-26. Everything looked great. Red Panda was there at halftime, a half-court shot. Somebody's going to Houston. But in the second half, everything was going in for Michigan State. Nebraska ends up losing 80-67. The final run there for Michigan State, 35-12. The final 12 minutes of that second half. Nebraska actually led 55-45 with 13:30 to go in that game and somehow ended up losing by 13 points.
They overcame a 15-point deficit to win by 15 outside of the Jamarcus Lawrence just last minute. Let me just get one.
Yeah,
it was up 15. So it was.
We do. Let's get his reaction during the break from Isaac and Lincoln. He wanted to know about the Iowa game and kind of our thoughts on that coming up. What lost and what the Hoiberg moving forward. I think the Fred Hoiberg hot seat watch has passed. I think Fred will be fine. He'll be coming back next season. And I think pretty much regardless, I think they're going to have to take another step forward next season. I mean, I think that should be the expectation at this point. This is his best team. And again, I don't think we should overreact to one bad half They're still Fred Hoiberg.
Yeah, and they're still at full strength. I mean, they don't. I'm sure they could have used Blaze tonight.
Oh yeah,
rebound ball well. Grease rebounding the night, chance point opportunities. You probably could have used a Blaze Keita sighting, especially for execution. He sets good screens. He fights on the offensive side on your behalf as well. Then you got these little knick-knack paddywhacks, give an injury a bone.
Yeah.
You know, Tamanaga, little something there. Then boom, Jamarcus goes down, cramp. I mean, this was going on pretty much throughout the game on everybody. CJ, I think CJ not seeing that first one go down, that one that was dang near all the way in and comes out, and it then gets great looks and just his mid range was on fire though.
Yeah,
he could get that anytime he want. It's just man, I don't know, man. I think I asked you about a word. I'm really befuddled. I'm befuddled that you know they didn't look like they knew where they could go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of the problem too. And from the outside answer it, and you would just, either Hoiberg kind of getting into his spot in the post. Instead, he was kind of shooting threes. Walker, that's always a good go-to. I mean, at the top of the key and let him do his work. Maybe less effective with that, with how they're defending him today, but still 6 of 9 from the floor. So, maybe they could have gone to him a little bit more. Tamanaga, obviously, a guy that you can go to. You look at some of their percentages in 8. And, Tamanaga was from a maybe that they could have went through, pointed out to and tried to get them, because Lawrence can get his own shot. Walker can, maneuver and get his own shot. Tamanaga can, one way or the other, at least draw attention, but they just could not even get a good shot there for basically that 8-minute stretch.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Just didn't look like there was nothing was easy.
Yeah. Let's head back to the Honda of Lincoln hotline here. We are live in studio. Note a producer in studio, so you're live on air. Who's this?
Hey,
Bruce, we can hardly hear you. I don't know if there's any...
Here, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's Bruce from Oregon. I just want to say, it was a disappointing second half. But like Nebraska, they've got to understand. They want postseason. They're gonna have to play, a whole game. They just, to me, like Strick was saying, and they're just standing around. We just can't have that, man. The guys we have is what we have. I still believe that they can win at Iowa, and if not, then hopefully we can win a couple of things. Big Ten tournament. We'll get some postseason.
I think all the
low, but some standing around a little bit. If they want postseason, you gotta pretty much go and get it, and can't have that kind of demeanor out on the court. It's got to be a constant full game effort. Can't have like days off. This is what you got. This is what you're working with. Is kind of what Bruce was saying. So yeah.
Let's head to the Starter Heyman text line. Get through some of your texts here. Faisal 5 times says refs kept Michigan State in the game until they could figure it out. Nebraska never gets home cooking. Again, I don't blame the refs tonight, but it's always, it is it's a go-to for a lot of people. I know they get frustrated by Big Ten refs, but I didn't think it was too bad tonight. Mr. Unlimited,
there was one that I can say the referee, I was like, whoever he is, at times I think he's bad. I can't remember his name. Let me see. Where can I find their name? Game info. Oh shoot. I know they have it on one of these stat sheets. Oh gosh, I wish I could find it. But anyway, one of the refs, I could be wrong. I don't know if he's Hispanic. I don't know if he's Filipino. He has kind of the crew cut, kind of a heavier set build guy. I can't remember what his name is. Sauter Heyman text line, you can help me. But There was one time, literally, Jamarcus played absolute tremendous defense and didn't use his hands. Body was there. The guy, he called a blocking foul on him, and I was like, from where? You know what I mean? I'm like, how is that? Like, what do you want the young man to do?
Yeah.
That was literally no hands. He got his body in front. Okay, it's either a no call or it's the other way. It was no way that was a blocking foul. And I was saying to myself, wow. And I've seen him be, he's a little sketchy to me. There's a few of them that are sketchy. I wonder, I I wonder why I now know why I shouldn't be reffing, because the frustration would even be there for me. So it's all good.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're out there and you're frustrated by the refs, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Let that be known. A couple people frustrated with the rotation of having Koyenets and Breidenbach at the time. What did you think about their minutes tonight? It was kind of interesting. Breidenbach didn't, outside of his normal self, didn't put up a shot. Only had one rebound in 7 minutes, where Breidenbach had that one rebound in 15 minutes. Koyenets had one really terrible shot that he put up, and Breidenbach didn't put up any, which is, I don't know. I don't know if that's good or not. I mean, because sometimes he'll put up some wild shots. You usually get some points out of him, though.
So when you don't have Derek Walker attacking the offensive glass, there's opportunities he possibly could have went. I don't know if the game plan was, because they look like they push pretty well, and their bigs run. So I don't know if that was part of the game plan. But Breidenbach doesn't leverage. He uses stretch, length, try to go over your type of thing. He doesn't use body leverage. Koyenets just doesn't have that feel. You know what I mean? Like for example, here's a good example of what I'm talking about. Feel. When I talk about feel, Dennis Rodman had feel. You know what I mean? Ben Wallace had feel. There's just certain guys that just know kind of how to maneuver and get there. And okay, here's where shots are coming from. Or if the shot, they have that extra little thing in them that knows to get to this side, because they're playing in their head all of these rebound games, right? He doesn't have that. So he just kind of just kind of gets down there, and maybe it comes to him, and maybe it does. So there's the difference. It's kind of feel. That's what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walker doesn't go, but that's what you missed in not having Blaze tonight. I feel I could give a couple options.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Walker going here on senior night, again, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but Blaze seems to have a pretty good report, but he's going to be good, a good big next year. And at a certain time in the season, I don't think if you knew that was going to be the case, now you kind of feel like that's going to be the case. Honestly, the same thing about Jamarcus Lawrence. I know that the last points he had there, kind of silly, and many of you turned it off probably at that point in time, but there was like 5 seconds left, and he walked it up past half court, acted like he was just going to be done, let the clock run out, and then he snuck by and quickly got 2 points to end up with 15. That being said, it's been 2 games now where he's been on the attack, and he's done really well right out of the gate. Had injuries later in both games, but then went back to the court. But I guess a few kind of thoughts there from Lawrence is, one, how does he sustain the hot start? And 2, just overall, I mean, it's the same type of thing with him that I was saying about Blaze Keita. That guy's going to be, I mean, that's a freshman. That guy's going to be good.
Yeah, he's going to be good.
Level.
He's going to be good. He's going to be somebody that can watch, because outside of Griesel's post, Tamanaga's cutting, he's the only guy on that team, maybe Bandamil when he was healthy, that can actually create his own shot. He actually does it better than Bandamil. The other one, I don't know if there's anyone on that team that knows how to come off of screens and get downhill better than Sam Greek. Sam. He's the one that I know that does. I saw to CJ was flaring when he should have kept curling. CJ was, coming off and not coming tight when he should have come. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's why he wasn't really able to kind of get into a good look flow. And Tamanaga at times is just not, he doesn't know how to use change of directions and get body. Like if you're gonna set somebody up and that you're coming off the screen, you would go, stop, hit him in the chest, and go again, do different types of things. But if you just straight run, it's easy for a guy to kind of get in your hip pocket and trail you out. You know what I mean? So it's jumping up, faking, going in, rolling back out, going, stopping. It takes a lot of work. It's not,
Yeah.
you got to be in shape to do it. But then stop, boom, little shoulder, go a little more shoulder, then go. You know what I mean? It's just getting that change of speed and direction and do that, a lot more space to get off. But he normally just comes off catches, either shoots. He needs to be able to handle stretch. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He
Create
kind of
for
catches
others
it.
sometimes,
Yeah, he kind of catches it. He'll stop and look to pass. No, catch, stretch, because they're staying with you. Stretch the big. Now do what they're doing. That's all Hogarth was doing. He get in deep, get you on your butt, get you on your hip, stretch you out, and find somebody where there's a 1-2 and there's an open shot. That's just some of the stuff, the little games that Nebraska's not doing yet. If it doesn't happen the way it happens, they don't know how to do that extra to make an opportunity a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys, if you're just listening to me, maybe you're like, what is Stricky talking about? It's just, it's stuff that it's really deep in the game of what I'm trying to, convey. And it's hard to convey it without me showing it to you, in words. So that's the tough part about it.
Yeah, but I think you did a pretty good job of explaining it there.
Then, we weren't little stuff like that.
And it seemed like, sometimes it's learning to do it doesn't mean, because it's a game between Wilcher and Walker, the give and go at one point in there when Tamanaga was in the air about to pass it off to
good
Walker,
stuff.
got back. That's where it was like the ball movement. I was like, man, they really
Yeah.
had something rolling. It looked like the team was more than just like, hey, Nebraska's hot. It's like, hey, this team might be really coming into its own and being really good if they can play like this. But obviously, you say if they could play like this every night, they couldn't even play like that later that night. So, still have some work to do there. Going real back to the question with Tamanaga, because I think it's interesting. Because what kind of your thoughts there again is kind of working on his game to get him prepared for the NBA would be a big reason for him to come back. That's interesting to me because obviously that's kind of been Hoiberg. I mean, Hoiberg's had teams here at Nebraska. That's kind of what they've been doing. Prepare Bryce for the next level. Prepare Alonzo Verge for the next level. And it didn't work well for Nebraska basketball, the team. You have to kind of focus more on the college team than the pro aspirations. Maybe lesson learned, or who knows? Maybe just for whatever reason didn't work out that way. That being said, you have your kind of ideas of more ball handling and different stuff for Tamanaga needs to do at the next level. Do you think when him and Hoiberg have that meeting, is that what he's telling me? Is that kind of what he's telling him? Do you think that you kind of maybe sacrifice a little bit of what Nebraska will do of next develop Tamanaga for the next level because that's the reason you're bringing him back?
Yeah, if you want to retain him, as a pro, as a former pro, as a coach, those are the in-office discussions that you had. Okay, first you sit him down and you really figure out where his heart is, what his mind's on. Then I think you try to figure out a way to not circumvent, but work to where you can get him NIL compensated. There's based on the language, there's ways to do it, and say you're going to work in that aspect to make it. Once you find out desire is, And then you can work those other details in trying to have those guys. Okay, this is what we're going to do with you. Come back to highlight you. This is what value that you, and then,
Yeah. And Tamanaga, again, I think I was trying to look at the computer's being a little. Tamanaga was this is because he didn't have a 20-point game last game, but I think he's had like 5 out of 6 or something like that. So he's really, really hot as far as like coming down the stretch of the season. He loves Steph Curry. I mean, so I mean, there are reasons to think that maybe he's feeling like this is the momentum's building, and you'd want to keep him in college basketball for another year. So hopefully that is the case. And he, of course, he's had this will be 6 of 7 games actually with 20 points. So quite impressive from KC Tamanaga. I think without not much more to go through here, as we're about to wrap it up here on the Hoops Post Game Show. Again, one more game with Iowa, the Big Ten tournament around the corner. Nebraska back to 500. We don't have to go through this too much. They're going to have to be above 500 to get into the NIT. There's going to be a few teams hovering around 500 getting in this year. It might be a case where you need to be 2 games above 500. Obviously, to do that, they're going to have to win a few games down the stretch. It was always, they kind of put themselves in this hole. So to dig yourself out of that hole, that's where the difficulty lies. But I think that's probably what you're going to see. And so whether it's the next game against Iowa or the game in the Big Ten tournament, you can always make a run at the Big Ten tournament, but I mean, you're talking about probably winning at least those next 2 games to get in. Either that or you lose to Iowa and you win 2 in the Big Ten tournament, then you lose again, then you're back to 500. So that's why it was such a kind of a thin margin for error here. But if you beat Iowa and then you win 1 in the Big Ten tournament, I think you're not locked. Yeah, but you got a chance of postseason play.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I mean, I agree. Some with Stephen Lincoln and Kevin in Southwest Lincoln. I agree with you guys. I don't think the Big Ten refs, and I'm not just talking about our games. I've been watching multiple. I just don't think they're very good this year. I know there was a commissioner transfer, and they're not very good this year. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's tough to kind of get rid of a bunch of guys. It makes me halfway wish I was back in camp because, good gosh. It's not very good.
Well, it's not much better in football sometimes. So it might just be kind of a Big Ten thing overall. That'll wrap it up for the Hoops Post Game Show. It is a late one, so if you stayed up with us, thanks for staying up with us and talking some Nebraska basketball. I know they didn't win, but as I always say, any day with Nebraska basketball is better than the day without it. So we're happy to at least have a game tonight and have some of the highs that we did. Senior night. The one more year chance for KC Tamanaga. Just a lot of fun tonight, but ultimately that ended at halftime. Michigan State goes on to win the second half 54-29. So we had some big picture discussions here tonight. 80-67, Michigan State ultimately wins. Nebraska down to 15-15 overall, 8-11 in conference play. We'll be back for another matchup here. They wrap up against Iowa. So that's our final regular season game. Then, of course, we will cover postseason play, including the Big Ten tournament as well. Lots of girls high school basketball coming up tomorrow, so don't miss that. But that'll wrap it up for the ticket tonight. We will see national programming coming up.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at outdoornebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Of trade conversations, John Collins probably would have been a Phoenix Sun if Kevin Durant didn't find his way to Phoenix.
Sure.
And so it's not so much about John Collins. It is so much more so to do about trade.